Adam, the one phone call you would get right now where you would have to hang up and take that phone call is from who?
Probably my wife, Dan, because I have not spoken to her in a couple of days.
What about Romo, Garoppolo? If it's related to those, will you hang up on us?
If you want me to, I certainly will.
No, I don't want you to.
Okay, well, Jimmy's not going anywhere, so I wouldn't feel the need to take that phone call right now.
Okay, explain.
Romo, I would be tempted to hang up on you.
Okay.
And maybe Donta Hightower could get me off the phone with you. But short of that, you're stuck with me for a little bit here.
Let's go back to Garoppolo social media at 4 a.m.
Yep.
Help us here separate fact from fiction.
Well, the fact is that it was not Jimmy Garoppolo that posted it. The fiction is somebody else posted the fiction. And I don't know how this sort of thing happens. It's way beyond my technological mental capabilities to understand it and grasp it. I have enough difficulty just going live on Facebook. But somebody posted a video saying goodbye to New England, and it's just not true. He's not going anywhere. They're not trading him. He will be on their roster come this summer.
Why hasn't his agent said anything about it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Doesn't that clear it up if his agent – I mean, Jimmy took down the post, or somebody did, but is it still up, Seton?
Why is it the agent's responsibility to do that? He's under contract to the Patriots for another year.
Well, just all the buzz around his client. He just comes out and says, look, my client was hacked, and if I was hacked, don't you take that down?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's up or down right now, and I know that his agent is a gentleman by the name of Don Yee, who also happens to represent Tom Brady. And I know that Don Yee is a very private person, and he's also not a guy that's actively engaged or involved or monitoring social media.
Okay.
So I don't think he really cares that people are posting things on his client's account. And Jimmy has said before that his mom and dad keep him apprised of events on a need-to-know basis, and I don't know that they even view this as a need-to-know basis. Maybe they do.
In the last 60 seconds, it just was taken down. So,
well, there you go. The power of Dan Patrick
absolutely.
right there.
Absolutely. You and me. We did it together here.
This is all you. I'm going to give you all the credit there.
All right. Explain to me, though, why the Patriots wouldn't trade Garoppolo if he couldn't be hotter and you probably couldn't get more value for him. So why not?
Well, basically, they're not going to trade him because there's a few reasons. Number one, they think he's a great quarterback. Number two, Tom Brady's 40 years old. And as great as he has been, and you make the argument he's the greatest quarterback in NFL history, how many quarterbacks have we seen have extended success into their 40s? Now, he's different. He's undefeated against even Father Time. But how long will that continue for? A year, 2 years, 3 years? I don't know the answer to that. Nobody does, right? So they have the most important position in football secured, and they have it for this year. So after this year, it obviously gets interesting again, and I think you always could procure Garoppolo's rights by using the franchise tag. It's probably not ideal, but I'm sure they could figure out a way around it. And again, as I mentioned before, the agent Donnie represents both Brady and Garoppolo. His allegiance is to serve both clients. But I'm sure there's a way they could figure it out. Look, they place too high. Bottom line is they place too high of a value on Garoppolo and what is the most important position in sports in my mind to move on from him. And they're not. And that's the deal. And I know people have taken this initially as saying, well, the Patriots didn't get their price. No, that's not accurate. And I know people have said that the price is trying to be driven up by saying he's not being traded, and that's not accurate. What is accurate is that they value the position, they love the quarterback, they're not moving on from him, and we all go on.
I think you just backed up over the Cleveland Browns' hopes of getting Jimmy Garoppolo. I can hear in the background there. So
Dan, my office is in the NFL studio, and you'd be amazed at all the noise and work that goes on here. Like, my office technically should not be here. They have not given me an office like they did you at the mothership. So my office is in this big public room where there's all sorts of work activity. and I got people moving things and trucks and noises and tours coming through, and it's almost like you're like the animal, the monkey in the cage at the zoo with all the tour groups coming in.
Wow.
Oh, there's the guy on the phone, tweeting stories right over there, as and you're trying to talk to whoever you're talking to, while people are coming over and taking pictures. It's kind of fun.
What did the Texans and Browns do yesterday?
I think they made history. I mean, have you ever seen an NFL trade like that ever?
No, and the fact that did they both win? Is it possible they both won?
Depends on who you ask. Listen, what I found fascinating about it are a few different things. Number one, on this day last year, we were all talking all about Brock Osweiler, and it was down to Denver and Houston. He picked Houston, and what a big move, and he was the big story on the first day of free agency. And a year later, for entirely different reasons, Brock Osweiler still is the biggest story on the opening day of free agency. And the Houston Texans, I thought, did an unbelievable job of just moving on from that because, correct if I'm wrong, but for weeks we have speculated, what do you do about a quarterback whose $16 million guaranteed salary you're stuck with for next year? And everybody just presumed he's on the roster. There's nothing you can do about it because no one's going to want him. And nobody envisioned that they would pay another team in the form of a second-round draft pick to take the player and his contract off their hands, which is exactly what they did. The Browns, who entered yesterday with over $100 million of cap space, more than any cap space of any team in the league, basically are dedicating a lot of that to taking on a player that I don't think they sought out to get, but valued the second-round draft pick. That's what they wanted. They have, I think it's like 5 picks in the top 65 this year, 4 in the top, whatever it is, in the first 2 rounds next year. They've got all sorts of extra picks to try to rebuild this roster. So both teams get what they want out of this. But I don't think anybody envisioned how the Texans could get out of Brock Osweiler jail, for lack of a better phrase, and they did it. They escaped yesterday.
I don't think he's going to play for Cleveland, though, Adam. Do you?
I don't think so either, Dan. No. And the Browns, and I want to maintain this is the Browns saying it, so you believe what you want, said that they've gotten calls on Brock Osweiler. Now, that I'm sure they'd have to eat some of the salary of the Browns. No one's trading for that contract the way it is. I mean, the Browns got a second-round draft pick to trade for that contract. So, clearly, Osweiler's not in demand like that, but I think the Browns maybe could play some of that contract and hope to move on from him. We'll see. I know Bill Polian's very skeptical that could happen, but we'll see how it plays out. Do I think that they're building their offseason program and plans for the 2017 season around Brock Osweiler? No. I mean, we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I think Brock Osweiler is floating in no man's land right now, uncertain of his future. The one thing we do know about his future, he's going to make $16 million this year, guaranteed, Dan, so he doesn't have to worry about where he's going to have to find housing.
All right, it was a year ago we were talking about Houston or Denver because of Brock Osweiler, and here we are a year later talking about Houston or Denver with Tony Romo. What's this come down to?
Well, let's be very clear about this. Tony Romo would like to be on the open market, and I don't think Dallas will be able to trade him, and at some point they're going to have to release him here because there's not a team out there, not Denver, not Houston, that basically places a premium and is planning its off-season and 2017 season around Tony Romo. Tony Romo is the bonus. He's the cherry on the ice cream sundae. You're the Houston Texans, you're the Denver Broncos, you're proceeding as if you're not going to have Tony Romo for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't know whether you're going to be able to get him. Number two, with his injury history, you don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy even if you do get him. So you've got to plan as if he's not even going to be there anyway. And then if you do get him, then that's great because you've got a chance to hopefully keep him upright and healthy and have a good season and have him get one last hurrah here before his NFL career ends. But I can tell you that Denver is not counting on having him long-term. Houston's not counting on having him long-term. I don't think there's a team in the NFL that's counting on having him long-term. So these teams are going to go about and make their plans. And right now, the Broncos' plans are the 2 quarterbacks they have on their roster, Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch. The Texans' plans are the 2 quarterbacks on their roster, Tom Savage and Brandon Weeden. And people could say, oh, come on. But, again, what else are you going to do? These are the options right now. Broncos traded up in the draft last year to go get Paxton Lynch. They like Trevor Siemian. The Texans like Tom Savage. He came on and played pretty well for Bill O'Brien. They've got Brandon Weeden in a backup kind of role, and they'll go out and get another quarterback at some point, whether it's Tony Romo or not.
Anything we need to be aware of to keep an eye on today? Any big possibility aside from the Romo decision, if that even happens?
A lot of big-name defensive players out there right now, Dan. Donta Hightower, Jonathan Hankins, Dontari Poe, Benny Logan, Adrian Peterson still floating around out there, Colin Kaepernick still floating around out there. I think that those players might take a little bit more time than some of these defensive players. But I think that as we've come to see in this league, just because it seems like it might be a slower day, especially compared to yesterday, doesn't mean it actually will turn out that way.
How much sleep did you get last night?
I got 2-2-hour intervals. It was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. You sound like you're jacked up on coffee.
I don't really. Well, is a latte coffee, Dan? A soy latte coffee? I don't know that you consider that. Maybe it is.
Caffeine.
Maybe it's not. I don't even know what I'm putting in my body there.
Maybe some caffeine, though.
Yeah, a little bit, maybe.
All right. Thanks for spending time.
My pleasure, Dan. Anytime.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Adam.
We'll be in touch.
That's Adam Schefter. I don't think he's got a good office space there at the mothership. Those budgetary cuts, and they can't give him a good office there. You got trucks backing up.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.